Regional Women Migrants Agenda reflects the issues, aspirations, and demands of women, migrants and their families in and from Asia Pacific and the Middle East.
It is the synthesis of national and regional level discussion during the Regional Women Migrants Encounter, contributed by over 167 participants across more than 10 organizations of women migrants, migrant workers, migrant domestic workers, marriage migrants, return migrants, families of migrants, trade unions, migrant serving institutions, researchers, academics, and faith-based organizations.
The experiences, ideas, and demand expressed in the Regional Women Migrants Agenda came from the contribution of women migrants, migrants' rights advocates, and other sectors that participated in the National Women Migrants Encounter held in Australia, Bangladesh, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, South Korea, Middle East, Thailand, and Taiwan.
Neoliberalism gave super profits to host countries while leaving origin countries in perpetual poverty, joblessness, no rights and protections, and conflict that caused forced migration. The pandemic only worsened that situation for migrants, particularly women migrants. Women migrants were the first to lose their jobs, and those with jobs increased exposure to COVID-19.
We experienced more discrimination and racism, stigmatization and scapegoating as virus spreaders, and increased abuse, human rights violations, and domestic violence. The changes promulgated to address the pandemic have tripled our workload, lengthened our working hours, further limited our rest time, and trapped many of us in unsuitable accommodations without any commensurate wage increase.
Mental health of many deteriorated because we worried about our families with limited means to go home, send money, and get meals. More costs, travel requirements, and restrictions put us at increased risk of illegal recruitment and trafficking.
Not many host or origin country governments provided sufficient support and protections for women migrants. They neglected and abandoned women migrants by passing responsibility to the employer or placement agency. Governments denied the call and demands of women migrants for protection and assistance, and used the pandemic to repress the democratic rights of women migrants.
Yet we women migrants and our supporters advanced our work. Migrant organizations and their supporters responded to the pandemic by distributing relief and services. Many migrants volunteered directly in the service and relief efforts.
To adapt to the pandemic restriction, organizations held hybrid online and offline campaign, advocacy, capacity building, and alliance building. If they are not able to take to the street, organizations will send the letter to the government to use online platform for expression.
Here summarized are the calls and campaigns of women migrant workers. Labor rights and anti-trafficking. Number 1, in collaboration with migrant groups and labor export policy, modern-day slavery and labor trafficking of women migrants, and develop a people-centered and sustainable economic pathway that is based on human rights and justice and independent of foreign intervention or control. Number 2, resolve the root causes of poverty and forced labor migration.
Number 3, ensure women migrants' labor and human rights, including but not limited to decent wages, employment benefits and social security, occupational health care regularization, and the right to a livelihood without being forced to migrate, among others. Recognize domestic work as work.
4, stop overcharging and other money-making schemes against women migrants. 5, develop cooperations among origin countries to ensure the complete implementations of pro-migrant workers policies across all workers.
Health. Number 1, ensure adequate health-related measures and protection for all women, migrant workers, and their families, including mental health care and counseling.
2.
Ensure the creation and sustainability of temporary shelter facilities in host and origin countries for distressed women migrant workers. 3. Provide free PCR testing.
Support welfare and assistance. 1. Extend access to welfare and support to all women migrants, regardless of status. Continue COVID-19 related resiliency and repatriation programs to compensate for lost jobs, reduced hours, and increased risk of exposure. 2. Reduce barriers to access for women migrants undergoing legal processes. 3. Create complaint mechanisms and regulate and enforce legal control on recruitment agencies.
Pandemic restriction and freedom of expression assembly. Number 1. Scrutinize the enactment of pandemic restriction and state emergencies to limit its negative impact on labor rights and labor conditions. Number 2. Prohibit the use of pandemic restriction to curtail the freedom of expression, assembly, movement, and speech of the women migrants who are seeking a platform to voice their concern.
Discrimination, racism, and gender-based violence, and stigmatization, scapegoating, and criminalizations of migrants regardless of status, and of all forms of violence against women migrants.
3. Address the particular vulnerability of women migrants intensified during pandemic. 4. For marriage migrants, allow those impacted by family violence to transition to a permanent visa without the need for a sponsor to avoid them being forced to go back to abusive partners.